If you know these 15 words, your Italian is amazing. Now, how advanced is your Italian? Well, you're about to find out. In this quiz and lesson, we'll look at 15 advanced or hard Italian words that are commonly used in everyday conversations, but you won't learn them in any textbook. Now, if you're already using them, your Italian is, like I said, amazing. And if not, don't stress. By the end of this quiz, you'll have some new vocabulary under your belt that will make you sound even more natural in Italian. And don't worry about taking notes, I've done all the hard work for you. To help you to practice everything you're about to learn here today, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet. It includes all the vocabulary and examples from this lesson and quiz. Just click on the link in the description box below this video. Pronti? Are you ready? Iniziamo! Let's get started. Ciao, I'm Michelle. That's Michelle with one L. I was born in Australia and my Italian dad named me after my nonno, Michele. But I didn't speak a word of Italian growing up. I learned it as an adult. And now I help thousands of students like you do the same using my unique 80-20 method. So if you want to learn Italian, connect with your heritage like I did, and have more authentic travel experiences in Italy, you're in the right place. Okay, let's get started with the first word. Take a look at this. I'll give you a few seconds to digest it, and maybe you can guess what it is if you don't know what it is already.
Abbiocco. Abbiocco
is one of those wonderfully untranslatable Italian words that perfectly captures a feeling we all know too well, that lethargic sensation that hits after a big meal. The kind that makes you want to sink into the couch and say, just 5 minutes. After all, Italians take their meals seriously. And abbiocco is just proof that great food deserves a proper recovery time. In English, we might say something like a carb coma or a food coma. Take a look at this example sentence.
Che mangiata! Adesso però mi sta venendo l'abbiocco.
What a feast! Now I'm getting so sleepy. To learn 14 more Italian words that don't exist in English, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. Let's move on to the next word, which is
Azzeccare. Azzeccare.
What does this mean? Well, in this list of hard Italian words, azzeccare might just be the hardest to pronounce. It's all about getting something right, whether by luck, instinct, or just good judgment. Interestingly, this verb comes from the ancient Germanic verb zecken, which means to hit or to strike. So basically, azzeccare is similar to saying something like to hit the nail on the head or to guess right. Now here's what it means when Italians use it. Now they use it when guessing or getting something right by chance, as in
Ho azzeccato tutte le risposte del test.
I got all the answers right on the test. When making a good choice or picking something that works well, as in
Hai azzeccato il regalo. Angela è felicissima.
You picked the right gift. Angela is so happy. When paired with the particle ci,
Azzeccarci.
it takes on the meaning to have to do with, as in
Che ci azzecca la giacca verde con quel vestito?
what does the green jacket have to do with that dress? Now, to learn more about how and when to use the particles ci and ne in Italian, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. Let's move on to the next word. Take a look. What does it mean?
Bufala. Bufala.
Now, you might already know Bufala as the delicious type of mozzarella made from Italian buffalo milk, especially in the Campania region. But did you know that Bufala is also a common word for fake news in Italian? The origin of this expression goes all the way back to ancient Rome, where shady butchers would try to pass off buffalo meat as the pricier pork or beef option. Now, when customers figured out this little trick, they exclaimed,
Ma questa è una bufala.
But this is buffalo. And over time, the word came to mean anything straight up false or gossip or clickbait headlines. Take a look at this example.
La notizia sulla chiusura della fabbrica era una bufala.
The news about the factory closures was fake. Let's move on to the next hard Italian word. What does this mean?
Farfallone. Farfallone.
There's a little bit of a clue in this one. Now, if you've ever met a guy who likes flirting with everyone, never stays in one relationship for long, and treats love like a game, congratulations, you've spotted a farfallone. This playful word comes from
Farfalla.
meaning butterfly, and perfectly describes a man who moves from one woman to another, just like a butterfly hovering from a flower to another flower. This word even made an appearance in Mozart's opera, The Marriage of Figaro, where the character of Cherubino is labelled as a
Farfallone amoroso.
big loving butterfly. This is the literal translation. In English, we might call this person a philanderer, a womanizer, or even a playboy. Take a look at this example.
Quel Giovanni è proprio un farfallone. Non cambierà mai.
That Giovanni is such a player, he'll never change. Now, to learn 68 Italian pickup lines and how to flirt in Italian, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. Let's move on to the next word. Take a look. Do you know what it means?
Fuorviante. Fuorviante.
Fuorviante is a beautiful Italian adjective that means misleading or deceptive, ideal for when something is pointing you in the wrong direction, whether it's bad advice, tricky information, or even confusing road signs. It comes from the fusion of the words fuori, outside, and via, way. So it literally means leading you off the right way. Take a look at this example sentence.
Quella guida contiene informazioni fuorvianti che potrebbero creare confusione.
That guide contains misleading information that could cause confusion. If you want to expand your vocabulary even more, make sure you watch my video lesson right here on over 100 Italian adjectives. And if you're enjoying this lesson, don't forget to download your free PDF cheat sheet, which includes all these words and descriptions, and also those example sentences. Just click on the link in the description below this video. Let's move on to the next word, which is
Fregatura. Fregatura.
This one might also look a little bit familiar. Fregatura comes from the verb
Fregare.
which can mean either rubbing, stealing, or cheating. It's one of those words that Italians use when they realize they've been tricked or taken advantage of. Here are some classic ways to use it. A scam or rip-off, like when you buy a genuine leather bag only to find out later that it's made of plastic, in which case you might say,
Che fregatura!
what a rip-off! A scheme or swindle, like when you sign up for a VIP tour with exclusive perks, only to realise it's just the regular tour with none of the promised extras, in which case you would say,
Che fregatura!
what a swindle! A disappointment, like when you drive for hours to get to that trattoria you've been wanting to try, only to find that it's closed, in which case you might also say,
Che fregatura!
what a bummer! The next hard Italian word we have is
Gufare. Gufare.
what does this mean? Ever had that moment when someone says something positive is definitely going to happen, but you're secretly worried that by saying it out loud you might jinx it? Well, Italians have a special word for that, which is gufare. Now, it's a slang term that means to jinx or to bring bad luck to something by saying it out loud or speaking about it too confidently. Here's an example sentence.
Stasera vinciamo di sicuro.
Tonight we'll totally win.
Dai, non gufare!
Come on, don't jinx it. Now, this verb comes from
Il gufo.
the owl, which in old superstitions was seen as a bad omen. Now, you can also use it as a noun, which is
La gufata.
which describes an overly confident prediction that could just turn into bad luck. Now, to learn more about Italian slang that you won't find in any textbook, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. Let's move on to the next word, which is
Indaffarato. Indaffarato.
the adjective indaffarato means busy, but with a bit more of a dynamic nuance, while words like
Occupato. Impegnato.
describe being busy or engaged in something, indaffarato conveys the idea of actively running around and bouncing between lots of things, something that us females know a lot about. Imagine those super mums running errands, cooking, tidying up, answering the phone, and still managing to keep the house running smoothly. That's being indaffarata. Take a look at this example.
Marco è sempre indaffarato. Non ha mai un momento di tranquillità.
Marco is always busy. He never has a moment of peace. Let's take a look at the next word, which is
Inscindibile. Inscindibile.
This is a strong adjective used to describe something so solid and interconnected that it cannot be broken apart. In other words, inseparable. It comes from the verb
Scindere.
to split or to divide, with the prefix in, adding a sense of impossibility. So literally, inscindibile means unable to be divided. Take a look at this example sentence.
L'amore e la fiducia sono elementi inscindibili in una relazione sana.
Love and trust are inseparable elements in a healthy relationship. Let's take a look at this next word. Now, this is something that I definitely identify with. Let me know if you recognize it.
Nottambulo. Nottambulo.
A person who loves staying out late, having fun, and just generally being up and about during the night is called a nottambulo in Italian. Guilty as charged. Now, this word, which translates to night owl in English, is made up of two parts,
Notte.
which means night, and
Ambulare.
a verb that is often used in the medical world to mean to walk. So if you put them together, it basically means someone who walks through the night. Take a look at this example sentence.
Mio fratello è un vero nottambulo. Non va mai a letto prima delle 3 o 4 di notte.
My brother is a real night owl. He never goes to bed before 3 or 4 a.m. Now there's another similar word you might also enjoy, which is
Sonnambulo.
now here, instead of notte for night, we've got
Sonno.
sleep, because a sonambulo is someone who literally walks in their sleep. Now, speaking of the time of day, if a nottambulo is someone who stays up late, what do Italians call an early bird? Well, that would be a...
Mattiniero.
Now, this word comes from
Mattina.
morning and beautifully describes someone who loves waking up early and making the most of the day ahead. Take a look at this example sentence.
Claudia è sempre stata mattiniera. Non riesce a stare a letto oltre le 7 del mattino.
Claudia has always been an early riser. She can't stay in bed past 7 a.m. Are you enjoying this lesson? Don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet, which you'll find a link to in the description below this video. Now let's move on to the next word. Do you recognize it? What does it mean?
Perdigiorno. Perdigiorno.
A perdigiorno is someone who excels at doing absolutely nothing. The type who spends the entire day aimlessly wandering around, avoiding any productive activity at all costs. Essentially what you'd call a slacker in English. The beauty of this Italian word is in its construction. It's a blend of
Perdere.
to lose and
Giorno.
day, which really captures the idea of wasting the day. Take a look at this example sentence.
I loro amici sono dei gran perdigiorno. Passano tutto il tempo al bar.
Their friends sure are slackers. They spend all their time at the bar. There's also a close cousin of perdigiorno, which is
Perditempo.
derived from perdere, again, to lose, and
tempo.
time. Much like its counterpart, it's used to describe people who waste their time, in other words, a time waster. Now let's move on to the next word, which happens to be a verb. Do you recognize it?
Reggere. Reggere.
The verb reggere is packed with meanings and nuances that make it one of the most handy everyday verbs for expressing a wide range of concepts. At its core, it means to support or to hold up, whether physically or figuratively, but its uses extend way beyond that. Here's a breakdown of some of the key ways reggere is used in Italian. When something or someone is physically holding something up, for example,
Reggere un peso.
to hold weight, or
Reggere un libro.
to hold a book. It can also mean to hold up in a more figurative sense in expressions like
Reggere il gioco.
to play along in a situation, or
Reggere la candela. Il moccolo.
to be the third wheel. When questioning whether something makes sense or holds up logically, for example,
È una scusa che non regge.
that excuse doesn't hold up. When talking about enduring something, whether it's emotional pain or physical stress, some common expressions include
Reggere alla morte di qualcuno.
to bear the loss of someone,
Reggere lo stress.
to handle stress,
Reggere l'alcol.
to handle alcohol,
Reggere il confronto.
to hold your own in a comparison,
Reggere lo sguardo di qualcuno.
to hold someone's gaze,
Reggere il peso delle responsabilità.
to bear the weight of responsibilities. In informal speech, reggere can also mean tolerating something or someone, often with a negative tone. A typical phrase would be,
Non lo reggo più.
I can't stand him anymore. When it comes to the weather, reggere can mean to hold up or to stay consistent, and it's generally used when you're hoping that good conditions will continue. For example, you can say,
Speriamo che il tempo regga.
let's hope the weather holds up. Now, to learn more about how to talk about the weather in Italian, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. Now, there's also the reflexive form, which is,
Reggersi.
and it has two meanings. One is to stay on one's feet physically. For example,
Hanno bevuto troppo e adesso non si reggono in piedi.
they drank too much and now they can't even stand up. Then there is to be based on something. For example, you can say,
Questa teoria si regge su fatti concreti.
this theory is based on solid facts.
Reggente.
The present participle, reggente, can be used both as an adjective and as a noun to refer to someone in charge. For example,
Durante l'assenza del re fu nominato un reggente temporaneo.
during the king's absence, a temporary regent was appointed. Let's move on to the next hard Italian word. What does this mean?
Sbafarsi. Sbafarsi.
Sbafarsi is a colourful and expressive verb that describes someone who eats like they'll never eat again, greedily, enthusiastically, and without a single crumb left behind. It's similar to saying gobble up or stuff one's face or wolf down in English. Here's an example sentence.
Appena arrivati al buffet, si sono sbaffati tutto quello che c'era sul tavolo.
As soon as they got to the buffet, they gobbled up everything on the table. But sbafarsi can also refer to eating and drinking without paying. This second meaning gave rise to the colloquial expression,
A sbaffo.
which means for free or without paying, usually suggesting that the person is taking advantage of the situation. Take a look at this example sentence.
Dice di essere un critico gastronomico, ma secondo me vuole solo mangiare a sbaffo.
He claims to be a food critic, but in my opinion, he just wants to eat for free. Now let's move on to the next word. Do you recognize it? What does it mean?
Sfizio. Sfizio.
A sfizio is that little whim that we all get from time to time, something we don't really need but suddenly want, like a piece of chocolate after dinner or the new bag of the season. Now these are all sfizi. Now this word comes from the Latin
Satisfacere.
to satisfy, and that's exactly what a sfizio does. It brings a little burst of joy once it is satisfied. Now, sfizio is used in many popular Italian expressions. Take a look at these.
Togliersi uno sfizio.
To satisfy a craving or desire.
Concedersi uno sfizio.
To allow yourself a little treat.
Essere solo uno sfizio.
To be just a whim, suggesting something is not really necessary.
Fare qualcosa per sfizio.
To do something just for fun, without any real reason. When talking about food, there's also the adjective
Sfizioso.
which describes something particularly tasty, and the noun
Sfiziosità.
which refers to little food delicacies that are too tempting to resist. Let's move on to the next word, which is
Tresca. Tresca.
Tresca is a juicy Italian word that carries a bit of mystery and scandal. Now, while it can refer to an intrigue or scam, its most common use is to talk about a clandestine love affair. The word itself has an interesting history too. It comes from a medieval peasant dance, where the dancers would often switch partners. So it makes sense that a tresca would evolve to represent something a bit tangled, like a love affair. Take a look at this example sentence.
Carla ha scoperto che suo marito aveva una tresca con una collega di lavoro.
Carla discovered that her husband was having an affair with a co-worker. Now, to continue your learning and to help you practice everything you've learned here today, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson, which you'll find a link to in the description below this video. If you enjoyed this lesson, then you'll love Intrepid Italian, my series of online self-paced video courses that break down everything you need to know about Italian using my unique 80-20 method. More details in the description below. Now, if you enjoyed this lesson, make sure you take my free Italian level test that you can do right here. Plus, if you want to test your sense of humor in Italian, make sure you watch this video lesson here on Italian puns. In the meantime, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on those notifications so you get an alert when I post more lessons like this one. Until next time, un abbraccio. Ciao!